Well, hello, Cuisine of the World. Welcome to week 3. Now, before we get started, we do have a special guest, Jane Jepson. Jane, hello. You're here to
Hi.
talk to us about externship.
I certainly will. And first, I'd like to introduce myself. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Jane Jepson, and I'm the Career Service Manager for Escoffier Online. So I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about planning for your externship. And it is never too early to start planning. So what I'd like to do, I've got a PowerPoint presentation I'd like to share with you, and I'll just go ahead and share my screen. Let me get to the right one here. Okay, can everyone see my screen? Awesome. All right. So again, Career Services provides services to students and to graduates, really for the duration of your program and even after you graduate. Really, the types of services that we have and that are available are open to you to take advantage of through your professional career after you graduate. But we are most often contacted when students are planning their externship, because that's where we can really provide you some very concrete guidance. Your industry externship class is coming up, and if you're like most students, you probably have a little bit of anxiety about it, and you may just wonder, where do I start? Where do I start planning for this industry externship class? I want to talk a little bit about the industry externship class. It's actually a course. So you hear about okay, this is I'm going to have to do an externship. I have to go out into a commercial kitchen. Well, I just want you to remember that that experience is actually part of your final class, and that final class is the industry externship class. It has a discrete start date and a discrete end date. For your group, assuming you stay on schedule, your externship class is going to start August 16th. It's 6 weeks in length. It ends September 26th, which is a Wednesday. Externs are required to complete 150 hours in a commercial kitchen during that time, and that's about 25 hours per week. You have to work those hours from the day that the class starts to the day that the class ends. So very often students will get an externship, or they'll actually get a job that will serve as their externship sooner than the class. And I get the question all the time, hey, can I count those hours to my industry externship class? No, you can't. You can only count the hours that start on the day that the class starts. And then in order to be prepared on August 16th, you've got a lot of work to do. You have to go out and find an externship site that's going to be suitable for you. You have to get all of the paperwork signed, including agreements between you and the externship provider. The externship provider has to fill out kind of a survey of their employment. And then all that paperwork has to be submitted into Career Services so that we have time to process it and approve your site and get you all ready for the industry externship class. So I want you to keep the date of July 12th in mind. July 12th is the day that we'd like you to submit all that paperwork by, and really use as your goal to have a site secured by that date. So that's not that far away if you think about it. That's really less than, maybe that's just a little over a month from now. All right, so where do you get started in planning an externship? First, I'd like to know who has an externship site or thinks that they've got an externship site that they'd like to use. Anybody at this point? Okay, we've got 1, 2. Okay, great. Well, that's good. So, so an externship site, and what I would guess is that you probably are already working. So you're working in that, no, not necessarily, okay. But you've obviously started to plan. So when I work with students and they're planning for an externship site, and they're really kind of just like the world is their oyster, you know, they could go anywhere. I really want to caution students to think about what your short-term and your long-term goals are in the industry. And I want the answer to that question to help be your guidepost in finding an externship site. because you want your externship site to really work for you. And it can become a bridge between what you've done in the past, what you're learning now in culinary school, and then what you want to do in the future. I also want you to consider the location and kind of the practical aspects of the externship. So the externship experience, it's a big obligation. It's 150 hours in 6 weeks. That's an average of 25 extra hours a week that you're going to be committed to your externship. So look for something that's manageable. If you're already working in the industry, if you're already working, whether it's in the industry or not, and you're planning on adding that externship to your time, you want to find something that you can get to quickly that has a flexible schedule. So think about the practical aspects of adding these hours to your week for 6 weeks. I also want you to think about the segments of the industry that you want to work in. You know, if you want to have a career maybe ultimately in food and beverage management, you might consider doing an externship in a hotel as a line cook or a prep cook, because that is a good launching path for a career in food and beverage management. If you're interested in the institutional dining, you might want to look at an employee dining room in your community. So I want you to think about the industry that you ultimately want to work in, and I want you to think about the job titles and the path, the career path that you want to take with your culinary career. And again, let that be your guidepost then in planning your externship. And then I also want you to think about, what are you going to be doing immediately after the externship? You know, are you going to be out looking then for your first big job in the industry? Or do you want to continue your education and your learning and your practical experience by maybe staying at that externship site and having a permanent position with the externship provider? So those are all things that I want you to consider in terms of what you want to accomplish as you start to plan for your externship. Now, if you are currently working in the industry, that's great. And almost all of your positions then are going to count as an externship site, or they're going to be approved, or they'll qualify as an externship site as long as you're involved in food production in that position. But just to be safe, what I'd like you to do is contact Career Services as early as possible and talk to us about where you're working and what you're doing. And we can then give you some guidance about, you know, to assure you that yes, that will qualify as an externship site. And if it doesn't, we might be able to help you strategize on how to make it qualify or how to augment it. So those are some things that I really want you to kind of do almost immediately. Now, if you're not working and you're looking for work, you know, we want our students to work as early as possible in the culinary field. So you can contact us now if you're looking for a job. We'll help you find a job that will be qualified as an externship site so that you can start work. And then when your externship date comes, you can actually have that site approved as your externship site. So when you're looking for an externship site, I like to think about the who, what, when, where, and how of externship planning. So the first thing I recommend to students is to really think about who you know. Who do you know in the industry? Who do you know that's currently working? Contact your friends and family and find out where are they working, what kinds of, who's their employer, and what kinds of opportunities might be available for you as a culinary extern. I want you to think about where you live and consider using MapQuest or even Google Maps. Google Maps is the one I really like as a resource for you. There's a really easy way to kind of identify targeted externship sites. You can go to Google Maps, put in your own personal address, and then search for nearby restaurants, cafes, hospitals if you're looking for institutional dining, and see what comes up. It'll populate a list for you, And then it'll also plot all of those restaurants or all of those food service operations right on a map and show you how close they are to your home. So that's a really good resource for students. I want you to think about what you want to do in the industry. And then go to a job aggregator like Indeed.com and actually search for some positions. You might search for prep cook. You might search, if you're new to the industry and you don't have a lot of experience, kitchen helper. If you have a little of experience, search for a line cook. And that's another really great way to search for an externship that ultimately will serve as either part-time or full-time permanent work once you graduate. Let's see what else we've got here. What to do. This is probably the single most important thing when preparing for your externship, and that is to go out into your community. Once you've identified some sites that you're interested in, I want you to go out into the community and I want you to visit them. I want you to go in, have a cup of coffee, sample the food, talk to a host or hostess, talk to a server, and find out what style of food preparation do they do in the kitchen. How much of it is scratch cooking? What are their service standards? What segment of the industry do they serve? Take a look at their menu and really evaluate those sites to make sure that they're going to be something that's going to work for you as an externship site. And then ask for an opportunity. Have the server, have the host, have the cashier become your champion. Let them know you're in culinary school and that you're looking for an opportunity as an extern. And then find out information about the restaurant manager, the general manager, the executive chef, and how to contact that person. And then you can follow up with career services, and we'll actually reach out to that business on your behalf and see if we can help you develop that site as an externship opportunity. And then the final thing I want you to think about is how to get extra hours. You know, it's a lot of work. Your students are all over the United States. Some are, you know, in July, sometimes that's high season, sometimes that's low season. So you want to make sure that you're able to get the total of 150 hours, and you can have a secondary site. And we've got some really good ideas on how to get a secondary site if you need to pick up some extra hours, if you're not hitting your target 25 hours a week. And that would be things like considering a local church or a community outreach that provides food service to the community. And we can actually qualify those food service operations as an externship so that you can get hours there. I don't want you to be afraid or feel shy about asking for help with this process, because what happens, what I find is students get so overwhelmed that they kind of put it off, and you're busy in your classes and you're performing well, and you forget that you've got to have a secure site before the externship class actually opens. Ask for advice, ask for support from career services, and do it now while there's really a lot of time to prepare. So what kinds of services can the Career Services Department provide? Well, we can help you really develop an externship strategy that's going to meet your short and long-term goals in the industry. We can provide recommendations on potential sites that you might want to consider. We can provide resources and coaching through this process. We can help you come up with some talking points. When you're going in and making your site visits, what do you say? How do you introduce yourself? What do you wear? And what do you leave behind? So we can provide some really concrete strategies for going in and developing an externship site if you don't already have one. We can call employers on your behalf and explain the program so that they understand what the objective of the externship is and what their obligations are going to be. And just so you know what their obligations are really pretty simple. They have to provide, you know, a fair work environment. They have to be involved in food production, and they need to be able to sign off on they need to have an appropriate supervisor that's going to be supervising your work. And then they need to be able to sign off on your timesheets and provide a weekly evaluation on how you're doing in the kitchen. And then finally, we can provide guidance on interview skills, if that's something that you're interested in receiving. And we go so far as to even do mock interviews with students. So, again, my name's Jane Jepson. I really want to hear from you. Please reach out to me. You can call me, you can text me, you can email me, you can write me if you have to. But reach out to me. My telephone number is 402-370-6363. That's my work number. And then I've got a really easy email address. It's my first and last name, janejepson@escoffier.edu. All right. Well, do you have any questions for me at this point? Anybody?
Might want to try stopping your share to see if it's easier to see people.
Okay, great.
There you go. Any luck?
Sounds like no questions at this time. Well, that's okay. I do want to let you know that I'm going to be sending out an email tonight, and it's going to have a summary of this presentation, kind of hitting the key topics. You'll have my contact information, and you can reach out to me whenever you are ready to start planning, or if you feel that you need some extra assistance.
Wonderful.
All right.
Thank you, Jane.
All right. Thank you. Really a pleasure to be here and to meet you all. All right. I'm going to sign off. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, guys. And just so for those people who are interested, I am going to show you where you're going to be able to find that paperwork. It's right under week 3, and you guys can look at all this externship paperwork. You do have assignment in week 5 of Farm to Table, where you do have to upload this paperwork so I can see it for a grade, and it turns out it's worth about 5% of your grade. So you want to get this done because it does, it's a nice little bump when you get it in. All right. Any questions about externship, guys? No? Yeah, all good? Now, do we have it? Go ahead, Chef Sophia.
Virginia has a question.
Yes, Katie.
Hey, all right, so I'm the manager at a restaurant. Does that count?
I would check in with with Jane. Sophia?
Do you have a supervisor over you?
No, I'm it. Well, I mean, we have the owner, but that's it.
Yeah, normally what they want is somebody that's able to look at your job and see how you're doing and kind of be a supervisor. So
Okay.
maybe talk to Jane and see how many hours somebody can watch over you. Are you hands-on in the kitchen too?
Say what?
Are you hands-on on the kitchen?
When I'm needed. I also have a part-time job in a kitchen. So
Okay.
I might be able to swing that when it's at a casino.
So maybe you can talk to Jane and you could combine both of your
Okay.
jobs for the hours, and that will be good. Yeah, I think so.
Okay, because I was like, oh my God, if I have to add another 25 hours a week, then I'm going to die.
No, definitely talk to her because I know we've done people that have 2 jobs before and both, but you have to do both paperwork with each job and all that.
Okay, that's fine. All right, cool.
Outstanding. Wonderful. Excellent. And sooner you get it done, the sooner you guys have it, you don't have to worry about it because you guys know how much work you're doing in this class. Well, you've got that much plus more in Farm to Table.
Mm-hmm.
Just letting you know, you got even more work in Farm to Table. All right, so welcome to week 3. I just want to remind you guys that you have 2 weeks and 5 days. No, 2 weeks. 2 weeks and 3 days, something like that. 3 weeks away, is that what you're saying, Chef? It's 3 weeks from today, everything's due. So you're absolutely correct. So let me tell you something about life. One, Week 6 live session is actually going to be pre-recorded and put up on Thursday of that, or Wednesday of week 6, so that you guys do not have to have a live session at the end of week 6. That way you can focus on getting your work in. 2, starting as soon as you get your work in, your summer break begins. So if I were you, I'd be working my little patootie off to make sure that I'm submitting my week 6 work on Wednesday, which is, what is it, the 22nd of June 22nd, because I want the longest summer break I can possibly have. However, you guys, everything is due on, I believe it's June 25th. Anybody have a calendar up for me? Just check really fast to confirm those dates. Keep in mind, hold on, Katie, week 5 and 6, you guys are over in the Pacific Rim, and you can study India as well. Definitely start thinking about what you're going to do. And then same format as what you've been doing. Katie, what's your question?
Do you know when Farm to Table starts? Like what
Yes, July 5th.
July 5th.
Yeah.
Are you the teacher for that?
Yep, I'm your teacher for that.
All right, cool. I'll reach out to you then about that.
Yeah, and just an FYI, you're going to want to watch the pre-recorded week 6 because it sets you up for week 1 in Farm to Table.
Okay, because I'll be out of town. That's why I wanted to check. All right, cool.
Yeah. We set you up. Our week 6 is actually used to get you ready for Farm to Table.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yep, so June 25th, everything is due. That's Sunday, remember, 11:59 p.m. Central Time. No extensions, what do I say? No extensions, no special cases. I can't remember. But basically, we got to get it in because we got to get you guys graded so we can get you set up for your next class. So we just need to move you on. If you're experiencing any difficulty, just reach out to me now. Please don't wait until Sunday night. I can't work miracles. I can work miracles now. And then get ready to just run, because we've got a lot of things we're going to be doing in Farm to Table. And again, if you are one of those people who want to have a much longer summer break, which is essentially for you guys, June 26th until July 5th, get your work in earlier. The moment week 6 opens, you guys can start submitting work. So keep that in mind. All right, so any questions before we head into our conversation today? Everybody good? Outstanding. All right, so remember last week we were talking about cooking or cuisines as being appropriated aspects of culture. You know, my question of can I as a white person go and learn about another food and then bring it back home and make money off of another culture's food? Some people are saying, what do you guys think? Remember those 2 women out of Portland? Those 2 women out of Portland who snuck around Mexico to get the recipe and the technique, and then went back up to Portland and started a food truck, telling everybody their story that the Mexican women would not give up their secrets, so they snuck around to get them. And then we're trying to make money off of that idea. Versus someone like Rick Bayless, who gets permission and yet has one of the best restaurant collections out of Chicago, Frontera.
Or John Besh. He
Yep.
got together with Aaron Sanchez in order to open a Mexican restaurant in New Orleans.
Love it. John Besh. Well, I'm going to give you part 2 of that story. So, big uproar in Portland. People are going, what? So, a advocacy group got together and they have gone around and collected every restaurant that is run by people of color that are ethnically appropriate. So if I'm an African American running a Mexican restaurant, I would not be on that list. But if I were a Mexican running a Mexican restaurant, I would be. If I were Ethiopian running an Ethiopian restaurant, I would be. So you guys are in Cuisines of the World. You're learning about absolutely amazing things, these different cultures and foods. So I want to know what you guys think, and there is no right or wrong answer. What do you think? Hi, Stacy. What do you guys think about all this?
I have a question.
I have an answer.
Would Rick Bayless be on that list? No, right?
No.
Then I don't like that list.
What else? Sabra, Katie, Michelle, Stacy, Magdalena, Kelly, what do you guys think?
I think they're taking it too far.
In what way? Yeah,
Well,
Katie, yes.
I mean, okay, so they're saying that as a white person, I can only do what, German, French, and English cooking? That's stupid. It's just stupid.
It's an interesting concept.
It's an insult because there are other cuisines that influence regions. I live in Texas. There's a lot of Tex-Mex, and they're saying I can't go out and open a taco stand because I'm too white. And that's ridiculous because I should be able to do whatever I want to do. As long as I'm not doing it in a bad way, I don't see what the problem is.
I feel like as long as it was authentic, it would be okay.
Well, I'm wondering if the question more has to be if your approach was, if you approached it through respect versus sneaking around.
Yes, the way that they handled it with like sneaking around and stealing recipes, that's shady and that's not cool. But like taking the time to actually travel and learn, like I have a friend who lives in Mexico and she's in Italy right now and she's going from job to job, learning how to cook authentically, like with actual Italians. I feel like that's appropriate. But like stealing recipes from restaurants and from other people, I feel like that's not okay.
Right. Well, it's an interesting thought because I had one of my friends who posted, and for full disclosure, one of my friends is African American, and he's looking at this and he's saying, I thought this was the land of the free, and we promoted making money. When did that change? So it's interesting. Does anybody sort of feel like this could go either way? Anybody, what are you thinking about what this could happen to you as chefs?
I think it could hinder us because, for example, I'm Mexican, but I started my career and I lived a couple of years in New Orleans, so I know a lot about Cajun food and Creole food, and I treat it with respect and I cook the hell out of it. I'm not saying I'm the best Cajun chef ever, but I know how to cook Cajun food.
Cool. And we've got, I know, Sabra, Michelle, Stacy. I know Stacy's at work, but what are you two thinking? Because you've got a different perspective than we do. Let's hear it.
I missed the question. What was it?
Well, this whole idea of this now taking this idea of cultural appropriate, that if you want to get promoted on this list, you have to cook the food that's culturally appropriate for what you were raised on. So if you enjoyed Mexican food, I'm sorry, you wouldn't be allowed to cook it.
It's an heresy. It's an heresy because for me it's probably extreme, but it's like a racist list. Because
Now, we gotta remember one thing. It's racist. I should be able to cook what I want. There we go. That's Michelle's viewpoint. Okay. And we've got Mark's. What about you, Sabra?
I mean, I feel the same way. I mean, why be limited to cook one kind of food? I enjoy cooking it all.
Right.
So if I'm working at a place where they're only allowing me to cook one type of food, then I think that would be my last day working there.
Right, right. But here's the interesting thing, and this is only Portland. I have not heard it going anywhere else, which is here is a document that is accessible by your customers. And what if that became sort of the news measurement of whether your customers are going to come and eat at your restaurant or not? Well, what would you do if that became the new measurement? I am losing 25% of my customers because I'm cooking food that is not of my culture. What do you think about that?
the idea is to put the, if it's so extreme, I will hire whatever chef who is coming from the country where I decide to cook. So they will not be able to tell me you can't cook. Yeah, sorry, I can cook because I have a cook from this country in my kitchen. And
Right.
that's it.
Right?
So it's like me as a French guy. I will go to all over United States and tell people, okay, your French food, your chef is not French, sold, closed. You're not allowed. So it will be crazy. It's like.
But for example, where are you originally from, Chef Mark?
From the region of Brittany and Paris. So it's two different regions. But Escoffier, when he cooked, nobody asked him from where it is, French, and he cooked the French food. So it's nuts for me. If the chef, whatever nationality is,
Yeah,
decides.
because, for example, I grew up in Mexico, but my mom is Spanish and my dad is Greek.
So you should not cook Mexican food because your parents is not from Mexico. They're outside.
Or I
of you.
should not cook Spanish food or Greek because
So for me,
Now, see where
the
it's
end
going down?
for me the end point is just respect the culture of the food you cook. It's just the question of respect. Do it in a right way, in a proper way. After that, if I have a Chinese guy next to me and he cooked a fabulous French food, I will not tell him, hey, dude, you stop it because you're not French. It's nonsense. Angry when I hear some stuff like this.
Well, and hopefully the madness is only, I should, that's kind of a judgmental, but I'm hoping that this interesting conversation that is occurring in Portland stays in Portland, because I am imagining, think about places like New York City, Chicago, Dallas, Los Angeles, San Francisco, where the kitchens are run by predominantly immigrants. Yeah, Portland is pretty hip. Yeah. But they're predominantly run by immigrants. So, I was living in Boulder, great Indian food restaurant. Would you like to know that it was actually Mexicans running the kitchen? So am I going to say, I'm so sorry, guys, you can't have this Indian restaurant anymore because, the people cooking the food? So it really limits, it's limiting possibilities, and I certainly would hate for that to happen. Now, I'm going to take this a kind of a squishy way now, because one of the people who was commenting on my Facebook page on this second article, white guy, and he basically said, what, all I can do now is make peanut butter and jelly sandwich? And this is what I said to him. Peanuts come from Brazil or Peru. So you can't make peanut butter. It's not of your culture. And sugar cane comes from Indonesia. And I'm sorry, that's not of your culture either. And then you've got, he said, grapes. And I said, eating grapes actually come from North America. And you're a white boy, so therefore, that's not of your culture either.
I remember this.
Yeah, so peanut butter and jelly is not really something you get to make if this is the theory we're doing. So think about, I'm going to throw some questions out at you guys. If I talk to you guys about, if I say Ireland, tell me some of the food that comes up in Ireland.
Potato.
Right? Potato. Where do potatoes come from?
Peru.
Right? Comes from South America. All right, so let's head over to Italy.
Tomato.
Sophia, shh. So she's so excited to be back. Shh. Okay, well, as we said, tomato. Anybody know where tomatoes come from? Yeah, she's like, from Chef Sophia. Man, you're good. She gets babies and she makes tomatoes. No, from Mexico, right? Tomatoes come from Mexico. All right, so let's take a look at something like Thai food. Thai food. Thai food's pretty spicy. What makes it spicy?
Peppers.
Yeah, chilies, right? Exactly, Michelle, chilies. You know where chilies come from?
China.
Yeah, but it's going to mess you up.
Nope.
That's all right.
Nope. I'm not.
It's all right. They come from South and Central America.
Oh.
So let's think about this for a second, guys. And I'm going to show you a map shortly, but here's this conversation that I'm having with you. Think about every culture you have studied so far. So far. And you're going to Indonesia, you're going to Pacific Rim next week. Is it actually authentic? Is it its own culture's cuisine? Sabra's saying no. Why do you say no, Sabra?
And the ones that I've studied, it has like maybe 6 different cultures mixed in with it, and there's no one specific one.
Right? They a little bit from here, a little bit from there, right? So
Yeah.
I'm going to blow your guys' minds. So in 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. Before this happened, anything that was available in North to Central to South America was only available to them. And all the foods that were from Europe, Africa, and Asia were only available to them. And then, boom, Columbus lands, finds a new way and new things to start trading. There's a whole collection of food that went over this way and affected everyone's food. Corn, tomatoes, potatoes, peanuts, turkeys, pumpkins, squashes, sweet potatoes, chilies, tobacco, pineapple, cacao, beans, and vanilla. All of this beautiful food started going back. And this is what the Europeans brought to the Americas. I want you to imagine any food in the Americas without onion, because there were no onions. How about that margarita without the lime? How about anybody who drinks wine or cooks with wine? Because it would have stayed over there. The banana, everything sweet that you know from sugar. Honeybees are another one that came from Europe. Olives, turnips, my morning brew that keeps me going, coffee beans, every stone fruit, every grain, oats, barley, rice, and wheat. Please imagine your Mexican food without that burrito. All the livestock. Please imagine your Mexican food without the pig or the cow. And then, of course, they brought all this delightful disease that almost wiped out 90% of the natives, the Amur Indians. So you look at this, guys, and I want you to try to imagine Italian food without the tomato. What would it be like?
Ew.
Michelle's going, there goes my pizza and pasta sauce. Well, what did they do? How'd they make it happen?
I don't know. Change the name of it. Something. It's not Italian food no more.
That you know of, right? It's not Italian. But there was something before the Italian food we know. So what did they use for their base? They've had pizza for a long time. What's the oil they use?
Olive oil.
Yeah. So a little olive oil on the bottom. What else do you think could go on there?
Herbs.
Yeah, right. Kelly just put pesto right on. Olive oil, pesto. Good, good, good. Herbs. I love herbs. What could you do something that comes from a cow?
Yeah, the cheeses.
Oh yeah. And what's another thing that comes that you can get from the cow that you could make a sauce with? That I forced you to make sauces with in 121.
Butter.
Cream, yes, a cream reduction, right? So it's what's known as a white base. Outstanding. Now let's look at the chili. The hot, spicy chili. How'd they get heat into their food if they didn't have the chili?
I will have a question after that.
Okay. How'd they get heat into their food if they didn't have this spicy chili? Kelly's going like this. But she hasn't hit enter yet. Yes, ginger's one of them. What else? Got to think along the spice lines, kids.
What, pepper, maybe?
Yeah, black pepper. Outstanding.
Pepper.
Yeah, black pepper and the white pepper. They both hit your tongue differently. Good for you. What else? Horseradish. Yes, ma'am. What else? Think about your spices. What gives you warmth in the wintertime? No chili yet, Stacy. That's still New World food. All right, I'll help you out a little bit. Cinnamon, allspice, nutmeg. Those are warming spices. So those would be how they would get their hot stuff. Teresa, I'm sorry about the red pepper. That's part of the chili family coming out of the New World. So think about the foods, guys, and really look at them and sort of should have known studying Greece, right? Look at those foods and really ask yourself, if we go back to Portland and those and that food where they're saying culturally appropriate food, is there really such a thing?
No.
Was that you, Michelle? What did you say?
No, sorry, that was just background noise.
Oh, okay. What do you think? If there's been this much movement of food and cooking techniques, is there really an authentic cuisine that's culturally appropriate for one group of people just to focus on?
No, everything is been touched by other cultures. There's nothing just, just designated for any race. Everything's influenced by someone else.
Exactly. Good job, Michelle. Good job. And as Kelly put down there, it's all blended from wars, mass immigration, trade routes. There is not one part of this world that has not been touched by something where food gets exchanged. It's pretty huge, guys. It's pretty huge. Chef Mark, you had a question.
Yeah. Looking on your map with Columbus. Columbus, right, went in 1495 across the ocean and went to South America. Now, we saw on your map that he brought the potatoes.
No, he didn't bring the potato.
The
just back to you.
Come from there. So,
Yeah.
15th century. When you take a look for example, vodka, the Polish and Russian vodka. What is the basic ingredient of vodka? Potato. Okay, the first vodka was made in 11th century. So what do you think was the substitute ingredient that they used before potato comes?
Oh, I like that. Great question. I don't even know the answer to that. What do you guys think? How did you make alcohol if you didn't have the potato to make alcohol with?
But
It's sugar. Good question.
Vodka means water in Russian, just to let you know. So it's a mixture between water and something else. It's not sugar because sugar cane came from the new word too. So that came from the old word to the new word.
Think grains.
They used to make it with grain.
Do you know what kind of grain?
It was wheat.
Wheat.
Yeah, because I know still some vodka is made from wheat, right?
Yeah, I think so. But the most of them are potatoes, but because it's more easier to make it alcoholic, got to ferment it.
Right. Very cool. So just even our alcohol is affected by the trade. Even our alcohol.
That's why to your comments of our common friend on your behalf, I put whiskey. It was the only thing that he couldn't really make from the States.
Yeah, you may have found him a new job, just saying. So we're going to go back to this idea of appropriate appropriation in cuisine. And so based off of our conversation, what, if somebody says to you, you can't cook that, what's your response? Or you shouldn't be cooking that. My favorite phrase, you shouldn't be doing that. Oh, really? Could you get any more judgmental? What do you think your response would be, kids? You know, you've got somebody who says, oh, I see you're making Thai food. I don't think that's culturally appropriate for you. Oh, I like Kelly. Kelly's like, why not? She's going to make them explain why she's in the wrong. Smart woman. Who else? What else do you guys think?
Ask them what they cook.
Ask them if they cook. Yeah, good. Get it back onto them because they obviously want to talk about themselves like that. I like Sabra. Sabra's response is, what is? Tell me what you think is culturally appropriate for me to cook. Just the cultures are free of charge to use it. Nice. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I hope you guys don't necessarily run into this, but I found it interesting. So a couple of stories for you guys. A couple of you are studying Portugal, which is really cool. I want you guys to know that the Portuguese, they're going to have a hard time getting into heaven. If they do, they're going to get into heaven for two reasons. Giving the world chili and giving the world fried food. Those two items will get them in. But the rest of their history is kind of nasty. So it may be a struggle. I'm suggesting all Portuguese take fried food with them when they get to the pearly gates. I brought something from home. But they're the travelers. They're the traders who went to Goa and brought the chili and helped Indian food get spicy. They brought fried food to Japan, known as tempura, and the Japanese made tempura. And it's they're going to have a lot. When you guys look at all your food, wherever you're going, pay attention to the Portuguese. They have touched every culture on earth just through trade. So pay attention to see what they're doing. And then I already gave you the hey, Sabra, were you the one who was talking about your mom about the black-eyed pea?
Oh yeah, I told her that she could not believe it.
What did she say, really?
I was talking to her and my daughter, and I asked them, I said, do y'all know where black-eyed peas come from? And they were looking around, looking at each other really like, where? And when I told them, my mom was like, get out of here. And I was like, no, really. I told Chef Janet this was going to blow your mind. Yes. And my daughter was like, what? And I was like, yeah. So that was pretty interesting to let them in on that.
Yeah, cool. That makes me happy. Share that story with everybody. Cool. And other than that, I just, as you guys are going through and looking at your cuisines, really look at what the influences are. You guys are going to be surprised. It's never just, hi, I'm just French and I have nobody else who's responsible for my food. It's not true.
Can I show you?
Please do.
It works both ways. This is what we in Chihuahua do for hot dogs. So we grab the hot dog and we wrap it around with bacon, and then we put crema, we put cheese, we put ketchup, tomato, mustard, and then we put a salsa, and then we top it up with Ruffles queso, Ruffles cheese ruffles.
Wow. Wow.
So we grab cuisines too from other places.
Wow. Wow. So remember, yeah, it goes all the way around. That's why I wanted you guys to look at street food too. So just think about it. Kelly put on here, I wanted to get back to it. Dallas has a lot of different flavors going on. A former teacher of mine left school to open a taco place in his neighborhood because that type of food was lacking. He's whiter than I am, but he does his own take on it. Very good place. So all of you who are out there with your businesses, you're going to be fine. I just hope you don't have this weirdness that's going on in Portland. It's very weird. Couldn't you just see? I'm sorry, you're not allowed to have coffee anymore, Janet, because it comes from Ethiopia. I'd be madder than sin. You're taking my coffee away.
Yeah, who is making the list? That's also my question.
We have to get online.
Are they colored people or are they white? Because also who's
I don't know.
For-
Well,
for-
and how is that politically correct? Now,
Right.
that's my question. Because if I'm saying you are not allowed to experience the world, that you only get to focus on your one area, that doesn't sound like political correctness. What that sounds like is extreme nationalism.
yeah. What about like people like Marcus Samuelsson?
Oh, yeah.
He's Ethiopian, but he was adopted by Swedish, isn't he?
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. And that's sort of how I look at this class is we're chefs, we're the bridge. We're the ones who actually brings everybody together. We're the ones with the table. So this is just weird to me. I don't personally, I don't understand this. This doesn't make sense to be so extreme on, I'm sorry, Chef Sophia, you're of Greek and Spanish heritage. So I know you were born in Mexico, but really you should just focus on Spanish and Greek food. It just doesn't make sense to me.
No. You don't know the story.
Yeah. So I'm going to let you guys go there. I can't wait to see what you do on your work in week 3. Chef and I are going to be there with our bells on. If you guys have questions, do reach out. You guys are doing a great job. And any last words of advice? Any last questions? Let me know, guys. Any last words? Anybody? Oh, the
Actually,
map. Go ahead.
oh, well, you can answer the map one first, and then I'll ask.
Okay, there is a map. Kelly put it up there. You guys could hop on. It's right before week 1 where you guys put in what you're studying. And it's a great way for you guys to see what each other are doing before you get to week 5. So I highly encourage it. Go get on there. Look around. It's pretty easy to do. And Kelly says, then we can all see the big area. Yeah, it kind of lights up when you do it. Michelle, what's your question?
Okay, I have 2. One, the bread for Italy. I forgot what it starts with an A. Abruzzo or something like that.
Abruzzo.
Yeah, Abruzzo, Italy. Every time I try to like search something for like breakfast or something like that, it just gives me like different cookbooks and stuff like that, but it doesn't give me like a direct answer.
Right, and I think
So
didn't I text you last night?
yeah, you said like bread and coffee,
Yep.
but I just don't know. Is there like a special like recipe or something like that? Like, is it just like white bread, wheat bread? Like, I want to get as
Typically a baguette or focaccia.
okay. Focaccia. All right. Well, I made focaccia last class, so I can do that. So with the olives, and then the second one is for my externship.
Yeah.
I'm going to Disney. So thanks. Yeah. I'm going to Disney, so I just wanted to know how to fill out the paperwork because I don't. I do everything on my phone with my my stylist, so it's.
For the paperwork,
like-
once you're over there, you can take
Mhm.
pictures of it with your phone and send it our way on a Google.
Because I know it's for like week 5, so I'm not going to like August 20th, August 21st. So it's like, I know you guys need it for week 5, so that's why I was asking.
Yeah, no.
Can she fill out the paperwork online, send it to them to sign off, and then get it back to you guys?
That could probably. Yeah.
I mean, like, I just want to know, it's like, is there like an electronic, because all the paperwork that I do have is like, it's something that I would probably have to print out, but is there like a paperwork that, you could send me, like, I can sign off on my phone and then send to them through email and stuff like that? so I can get it signed off and
Yeah, your
stuff like that.
externship agreement should through
Yeah.
email will work.
Yeah, because I mean, as I said, I know you guys need it for week 5, and I don't want to wait all the way till August to be awesome. Oh, hey guys, here it is.
Get in contact with Jane and she can send you everything through email so you can send it to them.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right. Thank you.
always get back with Jane is a good idea.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
You bet. Anybody else? All right. Thank you for a good week. We look forward to seeing your stuff. Remember, class ends in 3 weeks, but you can, get week 6 in earlier. All right. Bye.
All right. Later.
Thank you.